Lin Moyu corrected Zhuge Wu's words. It's not about preparing for resurrection, it's already in the process of resurrection. Zhuge Wu looked at Lin Moyu, beckoning him to continue talking. Lin Moyu expressed his own thoughts. It is not rigorous to say that the resurrection is actually true. It should be said that he has never died, but was seriously injured and fell asleep. More accurately, it should be that he is recovering. During his deep sleep, he had been accumulating strength through the ancient tomb. Now he has accumulated enough strength to officially start his recovery. This can be seen from the dry fountain before, and now the fountain has started to spout spring water again, and the spout is directly the water of death. Zhuge Wu said in a deep voice, then if we take away all the water of death in the fountain, can it prevent him from recovering? Lin Moyu shook his head. I've thought about it too, but I don't think so. There are 3 reasons. The first reason is that the water of death is not spit out because, 320, he wants to recover, but because he has accumulated too much power and overflows, so he spits out again. The second reason is that I have collided with his soul. Although it was only his instinctive consciousness, I was completely defeated. If it wasn't for good luck, I would have died there. I can feel that his soul is complete, and very powerful. The third reason is that the water of death in the fountain can't be taken away at all. I don't have the ability. You can ask someone else to try it, maybe it will work. Zhuge Wu fell into deep thought again. Lin Moyu is right, the first reason is completely valid. It seems that I have reversed the cause and effect relationship. But this reason has little effect, and the result is the same. The second reason made Zhuge Wu feel tricky. He knew Lin Moyu's soul. At the peak of the 4th rank, the Jade Soul produces purple. It can be said that Lin Moyu's soul has reached the limit of the godly realm. Although the soul power is not as good as the godly realm, the idol gods can't kill Lin Moyu at the soul level. Even for him, if he wanted to kill Lin Moyu at the soul level, he would have to spend a little bit of effort and use some soul level killers. In terms of soul, Lin Moyu belongs to the level of not enough to attack the enemy, but more than enough to protect himself. But in this way, he still lost completely, which shows that the opponent completely crushed Lin Moyu in terms of soul. This also shows from the side that the opponent's strength is very strong. At his level, the soul is the main thing. As long as the soul is intact, the physical body can be reshaped. It is not difficult. He also came to the conclusion from this that as long as the other party's soul recovers, then the real recovery is not far away. As for the last reason, it's actually nothing. Because the first reason has already been said, the water of death is a superfluous product. So the last reason is more like adding a head. Zhuge Wu said in a deep voice, is there anything else missing? Lin Moyu thought for a while, made sure he hadn't missed anything, and asked, Senior, I have some questions. Zhuge Wu hummed, ask. Just got such important news from Lin Moyu, and now he is too embarrassed to refuse. Lin Moyu also grasped this point, and the group took the opportunity to ask questions. Lin Moyu thought for a while. He knew that the questions were limited, so don't ask irrelevant questions. But in the same way, you can't ask about important matters, and Zhuge Wu won't tell himself if you ask. This question is very subtle. After thinking about it, Lin Moyu asked his own question. I want to know something about ancient times. Zhuge Wu snorted. Curiosity came out again. Lin Moyu smiled, but did not speak. Zhuge Wu asked, what do you want to know? Lin Moyu said, anything is fine, just answer what I can hear. Zhuge Wu stared at Lin Moyu for a full 2 seconds. You're getting more and more slippery, kid. Lin Moyu once again corrected Zhuge Wu's words. This is not naughty, it should be a little clever. Although I am very curious, I will also be careful. Of course, in front of you. These little cleverness of the juniors are nothing. Quote. Lin Moyu handed over the initiative to Zhuge Wu. What can be said and what cannot be said is decided by Zhuge Wu. The events of ancient times are blank in Renwang's network. Maybe some information can be queried after the authority is high, but Lin Moyu knows that the really important information will definitely not be available for people to view in the Renwang network. Zhuge Wu has a high position and authority, and is the supreme commander of the Suzaku battlefield, and there are also some things in the Suzaku battlefield that are related to ancient times. In addition, after the mysterious manner before, Zhuge Wu took him to meet the mysterious person. A short dialogue with mystery. Lin Moyu is sure that Zhuge Wu must know some secrets of ancient times. Lin Moyu wanted to analyze from his narration, combined with the information he had, to infer other cases from one instance. At this moment, he was very sure that he had some connection with some kind of power in ancient times. What if in ancient times, the side manipulating the skeleton had a war with the human race, even a life and death battle? Then, if you own this power, how will you be viewed by the higher-ups of the human race? But this kind of thing cannot be asked, so it can only be analyzed and guessed through some things. Zhu Qiwu smiled. Okay, then I'll tell you something about ancient times. Lin Moyu immediately pricked up his ears and listened. Zhu Qiwu closed his eyes and meditated. He seemed to be thinking about what to say and what not to say. After a few breaths, Zhu Qiwu's voice came out slowly. The ancient era is a very ancient era. If you want to know the things of ancient times, you must first distinguish the era clearly. We divide time into ancient, Jianggu and now. The present era belongs to the era of Xiao Zhangshan, the god of war. Before Xiao Zhangshan, about 50,000 to 100,000 years ago, it was the modern era. It was the appearance of Xiao Zhangshan that ended the modern era. The time in ancient times cannot be tested. I have studied it carefully, and the conclusion I have drawn is about 500,000 to several million years, which is not completely accurate. As for the ancient times, it's even longer, so don't mention it. A lot of things happened in the first era, and it often ended because of a huge disaster. Either a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, it's all possible. In ancient times, there seemed to be a great war, which affected a very wide range. It was also that great war that led to a catastrophe. It was a huge catastrophe that truly ended that era. Hearing this, Lin Moyu couldn't help asking, is it a disaster similar to Lian Zhan 3.4 God? Zhu Qiwu denied Lin Moyu's words. No, it was a far bigger disaster than that one. It is said that after that disaster, the big world was almost shattered, and it took countless years to recover. The races in the big world are almost dead, and not many survive. It is precisely because of this that all ethnic groups have very little information about the ancient times, and can only see some clues in the scarce information. We don't know the cause of the Great War, and by us we mean all races. Perhaps there will be some materials from the ancient times in the Dragon Clan, but certainly not too much. Zhu Qiwu spoke eloquently, word by word. Lin Moyu pricked up his ears and listened carefully. He rarely asks questions unless he can't help it. Zhu Qiwu also spoke very carefully, telling everything that could be said, and did not hide anything. In the restaurant of Fort 1, there is the soft sound of dining in my ears. Lin Moyu chose a corner by the window, looked at the starry sky outside, and watched the starlight that traveled through countless light years. He was still thinking about what Zhu Qiwu said before. Zhu Qiwu talked a lot. He said everything he knew about things in ancient times that could be said. According to Zhu Qiwu, Lin Moyu will be able to see this information when he becomes a deity in the future, but it will take some time to collect it. And he kneaded the information into balls, sorted it out and told Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu can tell that Zhu Qiwu is also very interested in ancient times. Zhu Qiwu's curiosity is no worse than his own, otherwise he would not have collected and sorted out the things of ancient times. A waiter brought up several beautiful dishes, accompanied by a week's worth of wine. Lin Moyu took a sip. The wine was clear and the aroma was not heavy, but very long. The body of the wine exploded in the body, turning into a clear stream, sweeping the whole body. Immediately, an invisible law flows to the soul feels like a clear spring falling, and the thoughts become clearer. The wine is called Qingshen wine, and it is brewed from a plant called Qingshensao in the area 4 to 33 of Suzaku battlefield. This wine is very special, containing special 16 laws, which directly affect the soul. Drinking a small amount can clear your mind and help you think about problems. But if you drink too much, your thoughts will become confused for a period of time, and you will not be able to concentrate on thinking about problems. This law will not cause any substantial damage, so it will not stimulate the defense mechanism of the soul. With the help of Qingshenjiu, Lin Moyu began to combine what Zhu Qiwu said with the information he had. Gradually, some things in ancient times began to become clear. First of all, what is certain is that his profession, spells, and even rules must all be related to the ancient times. An unimaginable catastrophe happened in ancient times, and the whole world was changed for it. In the catastrophe, the race perished, and the world nearly collapsed. In the face of such a catastrophe, it is not surprising no matter what great changes have taken place in the world. The law changes, the old race perishes, and the new race is born. It is hard to tell whether the human race that came out later is the human race of ancient times. As for Zhuge Wu's recommendation, the strong in ancient times would definitely find ways to save themselves. The chaos that appears in the battlefield area today, those things that belong to the ancient times, may be the independent world opened up by the strong in the ancient times. Those independent worlds escaped the catastrophe and survived to this day. Lin Moyu knew that Shen Qiwu must have concealed some information that he hadn't disclosed. What can be said and what cannot be said, the initiative lies with Zhu Qiwu, not himself. From Zhuge Wu's words, Lin Moyu still caught some very important information. For example, when Zhu Qiwu called the ancient tomb and the skeleton general, he used one word, them. It was them, not him. This shows that there must be people similar to General Skeleton. In ancient times, there were really people who have lived to this day. People who have lived from Xiao Zhangshan's era to the present do exist. In almost every powerful clan, there are old monsters that have survived from ancient times. In all likelihood, Xiao Zhangshan is still alive. After all, at their level, it is not uncommon to live 100,000 years. But living from ancient times to the present is a bit surprising. To be able to escape the catastrophe and live up to now, I don't know how strong it is. When the Qingshan wine in the flagon bottomed out, Lin Moyu had already sorted out all the information. He made the following conclusions: the catastrophe in ancient times should be the Great War, and even the Great World Rune almost collapsed in the Great War. The Great World Rune is the cornerstone of the world. Once it is damaged, it is not surprising that it will cause a catastrophe. The catastrophe in ancient times came from Tian Yubijiu. Nearly all race creatures perished during that period, and some relics may survive, but the number will not be too many. My profession and spells should come from a certain race in ancient times, and the greatest possibility is that race that also manipulates skeletons. The road ahead is still full of mysteries, and I can only move forward in the thick fog, slowly looking for answers. Maybe in the end, you have to wait until you come to the end. When you really get out of the fog and turn around to look back, you can see what's going on. It's just guesswork, not entirely certain. In front of areas 7 to 10, Zhu Qiwu and the man in black appeared at the same time. The man in black is like a black hole, absorbing all the light around him. Even if he is close at hand, it is difficult to find his existence. Zhu Qiwu said, "Are you still going to see it yourself?" The voice of the man in black was deep and majestic. "You know, the ancestors are very curious about this." Zhu Qiwu showed a strange smile. "Yes, no one wants to die." "Something, don't say it." The man in black looked down at Sheng Jiwu. Zhu Qiwu smiled awkwardly. Understood. He didn't say much anymore. He knew that he had said something wrong, and he was not qualified to say some things. The man in black looked at the area 7 to 10 for a moment, then his figure faded and disappeared like a bubble. Zhu Qiwu knew that the man in black had already entered the area 7 to 10 and might even have entered the ancient tomb. The restrictions in areas 7 to 10 can't stop him. It should be said that all the restrictions on the entire Suzaku battlefield could not stop him. Wherever he wants to go is a matter of one thought. In the ancient tomb, beyond the third passage, beside the fountain, a man in black appeared silently. A pair of bright lights lit up inside the black hole-like figure. His eyes swept over the edge of the fountain, and he saw with his own eyes that the fountain spouted black water of death again. Sure enough, it spewed out again. He was thoughtful. He had been here many years ago. At that time, the ancient tomb had just appeared, and the fountain was completely dry. Then he turned his gaze to the third passage, and the pitch-black thick fog could not block his gaze. He clearly saw the 8 entrances on both sides of the passage. When he came here back then, there was no entrance. If there was an entrance, it would not be hidden from his eyes. With a movement of his body, he had already entered the dark fog, and he chose an entrance at random to enter. In the next breath, he appeared in the cemetery. His gaze swept across the cemetery and went straight to the distant mountains. He had already learned about the situation in the cemetery from Zhu Qiwu, so naturally he wouldn't be like Lin Moyu, waiting for the undead flame to rise. He stepped out, and the person had already appeared in the cemetery. In the cemetery, there is a cleaner of God King, who is cleaning the cemetery meticulously. Feeling the breath in the cemetery, he let out a deep and majestic voice, the power of rules. There was a hint of displeasure in his voice. Many of the God King cleaners are human God Kings. Seeing the souls of the God Kings of the same family being imprisoned here, he showed a little displeasure. The breath on his body fluctuated slightly, and he stepped out again, and he had already appeared on the top of the mountain. He ignored the rules in the cemetery. On the top of the mountain, it was extremely quiet, not even the sound of the wind. The undead flames have not yet risen, only the huge coffin and the throne covered with skeletons have been quietly placed there for countless years. The man in black stomped his feet lightly, a huge force swept out, and the whole mountain roared. Come out. With one kick, flames rose. The undead flame quickly rose from the bottom of the mountain and appeared on the torch on the top of the mountain, burning blazingly. Among the immortal flames, there is a soul fire that is particularly bright. Compared to when Lin Moyu came, soul fire became stronger. Haven't you fully recovered yet? The man in black looked at the soul fire in the undead flame and whispered. The recovery of the strong also takes time. This time may be a few days, or it may be hundreds of years. The skeleton general's soul is recovering at this moment, but it has not fully recovered. The undead flames are burning fiercely, and the soul fire inside is also constantly beating. Immediately, the figure of the man in black stopped suddenly, and his soul world was attacked. The same situation as Lin Moyu appeared in the soul world of the man in black. A huge skull roared at the man in black. In the absence of full recovery, the skeleton general has only instinct. He instinctively sensed the threat and fought back. General Skeleton's soul attack is very strong, but the strength of the man in black is far from that of Lin Moyu. He just snorted softly, and the skeleton general's soul attack was resolved. The man in black looked at the blazing undead flames and shook his head slightly. In the next breath, his figure disappeared and appeared in the air. The entire cemetery has a panoramic view, and 8 fan-shaped cemeteries guard the central mountain. In the 8 cemeteries, there are a large number of God King cleaners working. He stretched out his hand to fish it down, and hundreds of God King cleaners were enveloped by invisible power at the same time, and slowly lifted into the air. At this time, the cemetery hummed brightly, shining brightly, and a strong suction force was generated in the cemetery, preventing the God King cleaner from leaving. The man in black snorted slightly with disdain. Although you are the treasure of rules, you are not qualified to fight against me without a master. As soon as the voice fell, he increased his strength fiercely. The space was broken layer by layer, and the light of the cemetery was suppressed immediately. The souls of those God King cleaners were all sucked into his palm, and then his figure faded and disappeared completely. The undead flames still shone on the entire cemetery, and the number of God King cleaners in the cemetery decreased by 1/3, and they were all taken away by the men in black. Outside No. 7 to 10 area, the man in black appeared next to Zhuqiwu without warning. He holds a ball of light in his hand, and there are souls in the light ball. These are the souls of the God Kings of the human race, the God Kings who have been missing in these years, and this time the man in black brought them out. Zhuqiwu took the light group, looked it over carefully, and couldn't help but sighed. It's a pity. The soul's gaze was dull, and its sanity had obviously been wiped out. Being wiped out of mind is even worse than being wounded in the soul, and it is basically impossible to recover. In the big world, life and death are normal. There was no pity in the man in black's voice. As he said, life and death are normal in the big world. Even he might die sometime. Zhuqiwu was only emotional for a moment. He put away the ball of light. Did something come out? The man in black shook his head. No, he hasn't fully recovered yet. Only from his voice, no emotion can be heard. As if it's something that doesn't matter. Zhuqiwu said, then ask after you recover. The man in black nodded slightly. The speed of recovery is not fast. It is estimated that it will take at least 100 years. During this period, you can ask him to visit other places. Zhuqiwu chuckled. I also have this plan. The stinking boy has good strength and good luck. Maybe he can find some useful information. The man in black hummed. I made a move just now, and I may have been discovered by some old guys. I will leave first. After all, the figure of the man in black shattered like a bubble and disappeared without a trace. Zhuqiwu took out his car, and when the battleship jumped, he also disappeared. Less than 10 seconds after he left, an invisible force swept across, sweeping back and forth several times before disappearing. Lin Moyu ordered another jug of wine, drank it slowly, and wiped out the dishes he ordered every day. The thoughts have been thoroughly sorted out, and there are corresponding guesses about many things that happened in ancient times. What is lacking now is information. Lin Moyu really wants to find out whether it was the human race that fought the skeletons at that time. It seems that in the future, we will specifically look for tasks related to the ancient times. Analyzing from the information we have so far, there should be many relics from the ancient times in the battlefield, and there are even hidden people who lived from the ancient times. It's like the person in the black hole pit number 7 to 77. Will it be a character from ancient times? Unfortunately, I am too weak. Lin Moyu knew how strong he was, and in front of such a boss, he could be killed at will. How to obtain information safely has become Lin Moyu's first consideration. After eating and drinking, Lin Moyu left the restaurant. On the road, Lin Moyu kept receiving the eyes of everyone. He is a big celebrity now, as long as there are people who are often active in Fortress 1, basically there is no one who does not know Lin Moyu. Both the combat power list and the potential list are first, and the contribution list is second. It is enough to prove that Lin Moyu is a top talent. Some people are already speculating whether Lin Moyu will be number 1 in the third list. Lin Moyu is constantly harvesting the power of faith from the void, and the power of faith gathers into rivers and continues to condense. The current situation is that if he wants, he can step into the 8th level of True God at any time. But he felt that there was still some gaps in his comprehension of the law, and he wanted to consolidate it. Lin Moyu came to the practice field and rented a secret practice room. The door was closed, and the practice chamber was suddenly plunged into darkness. Immediately, the formation in the training chamber slowly began to operate, illuminating the whole room again. The cultivation secret room uses special materials, which are very strong, and with the array, it can withstand the attack of the King of the Gods. At the same time, the wall of the secret room can show the strength of the attack, so that the practitioner can use it to test the spell. Although the rent is not cheap, it is thoughtful. Lin Moyu rented the training room not for training, but for transforming Lich General. Create a legion by transforming the Lich General into a legion ruler. First, he summoned Ruler 1. Ruler number 1, who was 10 meters tall and muscular all over, appeared next to Lin Moyu, lowered his head, and said in a muffled voice, "Ruler number 1, meet the master." As he said that, he was about to kneel down, but Lin Moyu quickly stopped him. Lin Moyu looked at the wall not far away, using control, gathering all the strength of the legion, and attacking the wall. Lin Moyu's words are legal orders. Ruler number 1 did not hesitate at all, let out a low drink, and layers of grey light bloomed all over his body. The 100,000 bone dragons to which he belonged roared in unison in the soul world. To gather all the power of the legion, it is not necessary to summon the legion, it can be used in the soul. The aura of Ruler 1 continued to rise, and the whole body began to be filled with grey-white flame light. Half a second later, Ruler number 1 raised the saber in his hand and swung it violently towards the wall. The sword light illuminated the entire secret room and slammed heavily on the wall. Attack strength, God King level 6. Seeing this information, Lin Moyu was slightly happy in his heart, and his face also showed satisfaction. The ruler of the Legion of the 3rd level God King, after gathering the power of 100,000 skeleton dragons, can actually launch the attack of the 6th level God King. Lin Moyu is very satisfied with the first show of the Legion ruler. The 3rd level God King can exert the attack power of the 6th level God King, which is already very powerful. Although it takes only one hit every 10 minutes, it is enough. He is not the only Legion ruler, he intends to fight all Lich generals and transform them into Legion rulers. There are millions of Legion rulers who can control millions of legions. Now it is naturally impossible to have so many skeletons handed over to them for control, but what about in the future? Plan ahead, Lin Moyu always does. Then Lin Moyu tested the strength of the skeleton dragon. In the case of not joining the Legion and having no control bonus, the bonus of the original spell is not considered. The combat power of the giant skeleton dragon is at the level of a God King. Not weak, but not strong in the undead army either. After merging the spell, the Death Dragon Knight's combat power can reach the 2nd level of the God King, and the Skeleton God General can even reach the 3rd level of the God King. Therefore, there are not many opportunities to use the skeleton dragon alone, and it is only after they are fused with the Death Knight that they are used. But with the bonus of command, the combat power of the giant skeleton dragon has been greatly improved, reaching the peak of the 2nd rank of the God King, surpassing the Death Dragon Knight, directly reaching the Skeleton God General. Now if 100,000 skeleton gods will fight against 100,000 skeleton dragons with dominance bonuses, the outcome will be hard to tell. The healing ability of the Legion ruler is too abnormal. As long as he is not dead, most of the damage can be healed in a very short time. Moreover, Ruler 1 itself can also hit the 6th order attack of 593 God Kings from time to time, which is equivalent to the Little Skeleton King. The Death Dragon Knight was eliminated, and was eliminated by the unified Skeleton Dragon. Lin Moyu couldn't help but have an idea in his heart. As his own strength improved, the realm of the Legion ruler would also increase accordingly. The number controlled by each legion will also increase. As long as the number of legions increases, the mutual bonus between legion members will also increase. Coupled with the bonus of the 9-star technique, will it be possible to abandon the fusion technique at that time? If not, an army composed of millions of skeleton god fighters will be stronger than the same number of living god generals. Thinking of this, Lin Moyu was slightly excited. It's not impossible. He set about reforming the Lich general. The undead flame exploded, and the entire training chamber was enveloped by the undead flame. At the same time, he separated his soul one by one and merged into the undead flame. Use your own soul and undead flame to enlighten the Lich general and become the ruler of the Legion. Fortunately, the number of separated souls is not needed for the transformation of Dominion, only one wisp is enough. Fortunately, he is now in the realm of a true god. If he still has the soul strength in the small world, he will stop eating if he can't tell the difference. The Million Lich General, the ghost knows that he will be transformed into the Year of the Monkey. The method of transformation has changed from unfamiliar to familiar, and the speed is getting faster and faster. His soul is strong enough, and after tens of thousands of strands of souls are separated out, he feels that his soul is short of soul. This feeling is very similar to the time when he sublimated the magic technique back then. His soul seemed to be drained and his whole body was weak. So Lin Moyu thought of a way to deal with it early on. In the small world, there is Antares to help. But now, Lin Moyu chose to blue his soul. The soul exploded with a bang, and the giant talent tree shook violently, scattering thousands of purple lights. Lin Moyu's body trembled, and his soul was reborn in the purple light. The newborn soul is extremely full and has returned to its peak state. Lin Moyu in the real god realm, the strongest talent has reached the 3rd level, and can complete a new life every 40 seconds. So Lin Moyu doesn't care about things that consume soul power. He did the same thing again, throwing out large groups of immortal flames, separating souls, and continuing to transform. As time passed day by day, Lin Moyu devoted himself to the great cause of transformation, ignoring the passage of time. After an unknown amount of time, all the Lich generals were finally transformed into Legion rulers. At this time, the magic star representing the Lich general has changed, and the person living in the magic star is no longer the Lich general, but the Legion ruler. Infinite fusion, the magic star vibrates slightly, shedding light, and the magic of summoning the Lich general. The L star, it's different. Lin Moyu discovered that, summon the Lich general, spell star has changed. The brilliance of the magic star has changed, becoming brighter, and the magic star has also become larger. Brighter and larger, it means that the technique becomes more powerful. Summon Lich general, the spell star has become, summon Legion ruler. Lin Moyu was slightly startled, which meant that in the future, BGBB, he could directly summon the ruler of the Legion without having to reform himself. Infinite fusion, let Lin Moyu see its magic again. It is like a high-altitude king, overlooking all the magic stars. Usually it does not move, but when it is really necessary, it will take the initiative. Lin Moyu wondered more than once whether this magical magic star has self-awareness. Otherwise, many things cannot be explained. Just like when Zhu Jiangxing took out the mysterious iron last time, Xingxing clearly expressed his willingness to want it. Sorcery stars generate self-awareness, that's the real fucking thing. Lin Moyu has never heard of such a thing. It's so fucking outrageous. Temporarily suppressing the confusion in his heart, Lin Moyu began to assign teams. Now it is a state where there are many monks and few flesh. There are 1 million Legion rulers, but there are only 1 million Death Knights. According to the situation that each Legion ruler can rule 100,000, it is only enough for 10 Legion rulers. There are fewer skeleton dragons, only 500,000. In this way, 15 legions can also be formed. Not even a fraction of 1 million Legion rulers. Lin Moyu came up with a bold idea. He tried to let the Legion rulers rule the Legion rulers. This perfectly solves the problem of too many Legion rulers. But unfortunately, his idea could not be realized. The Legion ruler cannot control the Legion ruler. It can only be said that his ideas are too whimsical. There are a total of 9,000,003 basic skeletons, but they are only enough to distribute to 90 Legion rulers. What's more, Lin Moyu doesn't want to touch the basic skeleton. Now the skeleton god will still be the main combat force and cannot be replaced. The appearance of the Legion ruler can only be regarded as icing on the cake, and that is the case at present. First distribute the Death Knights and Skeleton Dragons to form 15 legions. The legion composed of giant skeleton dragons is named the Skeleton Dragon Legion, numbered from 1 to 5. The legion composed of Death Knights is named Death Knights, numbered from 1 to 10. The combat power of the Death Knights is close to the second level of the God King, and the ruler of the legion can attack the fifth level of the God King. The combat strength of the Bone Dragon army is close to the third level of the King of Gods, and the ruler of the legion can attack the sixth level of the King of Gods. In this way, the gap in combat power between the Skeleton God General and the Skeleton King is filled. 15 legion rulers who were assigned members bowed respectfully to Lin Moyu at the same time. Willing to die for the master. Their voices are extremely pious, and they are the most loyal ears in the world. No matter what the circumstances, they will not betray. If Lin Moyu wanted them to die, they would not hesitate for a second. After putting away the Legion ruler, Lin Moyu took out the Scourge Scepter from his soul. Then, it's time to study the Scourge Scepter. As soon as the voice fell, a message came from the internet. The message was sent by Yuju, and there were only 3 words in the message: the goods have arrived. Lin Moyu checked the time, only to find that he had entered the cultivation secret room for more than a month. The time of more than 1 month is not long, nor is it short. After all, for a cultivator, every time he closes the test casually, it will be counted on a yearly basis. Lin Moyu took back the scepter of natural disasters that he just took out, and found time to study again. Now it's time to go to the trading center to meet Polygonatum and pick up the goods. I don't know what kind of goods I found, but I think it won't be too bad. I hope that with the materials of God's exalted realm, such an elemental lich can still start to work. Without good materials, an elemental lich is a piece of crap. If there are good materials, the elemental demon will be able to exert amazing effects. He has seen how strong the elemental lich is. During the skill demonstration, as soon as the existing flame elemental lich came out, the enemies in the starry sky were covered in fire. No matter how strong they were all burned to ashes. The elemental lich is the real map cannon, and it is the kind that attacks continuously. There are no useless techniques, it just depends on how you use it. Compared with most people, they take the specialization route. In the end, there are rarely more than 10 spells left. The truly powerful ones may only have 3 or 5. Lin Moyu wants to raise every technique to the limit. None of his techniques are useless, it depends on whether he can discover the power of the technique. All because of infinite fusion, which gave myself infinite possibilities. The Scourge Scepter needs to be researched. Quote, Thale fusion also needs to be studied. There is still work to do. There's so little time. Lin Moyu sighed in his heart, came to the trading center, and was led by the staff to the trading room in the backyard. It was still the same gazebo, still the gentle fragrance of iced tea, and the glamorous Polygonatum odoratum was sitting behind the tea table, gently fiddling with the tea set. Today, Yuju is wearing a slightly tight pink robe, showing a beautiful figure. The robe is full of flowers embroidered, lifelike, but Yuju is too delicate and beautiful, compared with the flowers on the robe. Lin Moyu was already a regular customer, so he walked in naturally and sat down at the tea table. After taking a sip of the clear tea and letting the chill explode in his body, he said, just now, you seem to like drinking iced tea very much. Yuju smiled and poured tea for Lin Mo. It's not because of the captain. What she meant was the transaction of handing over the Xingxing Jinguo, and there seemed to be 3 points of blame in her eyes, but also a bit of playfulness. Yuju's temperament is changeable, and Lin Moyu doesn't know which elder in the family she learned from this time. The array in the gazebo was opened, turning the gazebo into an independent space. Lin Moyu cut to the chase. Have you found the materials? Yuju took out 4 jade boxes and put them on the tea table. God-level materials are hard to find. Lin Moyu smiled slightly. I believe in the strength of your Yu family, and you have found it, haven't you? Yuju glared at Lin Moyu mischievously. We paid a lot of money to get it. Suddenly she lowered her voice. Captain, let me tell you. In fact, there are quite a lot of materials in the God realm, but most of the materials at this level are controlled by the military or the Temple of War. Lin Moyu naturally understands. The big world is so big, even if the output of God-level materials is small, it will not be too little when viewed on the scale of the big world. What's more, what I want is just a little bit, which is nothing at all. Take a look at the warships and fortresses in the God realm, which ones are not made of God-level materials. Similarly, God-level materials are strategic materials, and it is normal for them to be controlled by the military or the Temple of War. If a casual cultivator wants God-level materials, he will have to pay a high price. There are even some precious materials that the gods can't buy even if they pay a price. Yuju opened the first jade box, and then immediately retracted her hand. A flame burst out from the jade box, and a bright red gemstone was placed in the jade box. The gem is in the shape of a flame, and the most peculiar thing is that there is a flame dancing and burning in the center of the gem. The detection technique that had not been used for a long time popped up and landed on the gemstone. Galaxy Flame Crystal, a gemstone dropped from the galaxy of the Law of Fire, a god-level material, can be used to refine flame weapons and enhance the power of the Law of Fire. Lin Moyu was a little surprised by the results given by the detection technique. Is something still falling out of the galaxy of laws? Lin Moyu had a strange expression on his face. Yuju giggled and said, there are many treasures in the galaxy of laws, but it's a pity that it's hard to get them. Lin Moyu looked at Yuju. Let's talk about it. This piece of knowledge, Lin Moyu is still lacking. He comes from a small world, only has level 4 authority, and his understanding of the big world is still limited. Although he has learned a lot, it is still incomparable to a person like Yuju who has a family inheritance in the big world. Yuju giggled and explained it to Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu finally has a better understanding of Law Galaxy. The Law Galaxy is a place that only gods can enter, and only the soul enters, not the body. Asking for flowers. The idle gods will not stay in the galaxy of laws for too long. They will spend all their time comprehending the origin of the law. They will never have time to find things in the galaxy of laws. Only those powerful gods will have the depths of the Law Galaxy to search for treasures in the Law Galaxy. The Galaxy Flame Crystal is one of the treasures in the Fire System Law Galaxy. But it doesn't mean that only the gods can get the things in the galaxy of laws. Sometimes the galaxy of laws will manifest, and occasionally something will come out. So the result given by the detection technique is also correct. As for how to obtain the Galaxy Flame Crystal in front of him, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference to Lin Moyu whether he was brought by the deity or dropped out by himself. Lin Moyu is very satisfied with this piece of material. How many points? He knew that this thing was expensive, and he couldn't even buy it with points. I just paid 100 million points as a deposit, and I don't know how much is enough. Yuju stretched out 4 fingers. 40 million points. Expensive, but within acceptable limits. Lin Moyu reached out to take the Galaxy Flame Crystal, and Yuju exclaimed, wait a minute. Lin Moyu stopped. What's wrong? Yuju said, this is a god-level material, and it has been soaked in the law of the galaxy for so long, and it has a certain spirituality. If you take it directly, the flames in it will burn you. It turned out to be such a thing, no wonder he withdrew his hands so quickly just now. At this time, Yuju handed over a glove. This is a mysterious ice glove made by the Ice Tribe. Wearing it can resist most fire damage. Lin Moyu smiled slightly. I shouldn't need it. As he spoke, he reached out and pinched the Galaxy Flame Crystal. The flame crystal suddenly burst into a ball of flames, burning violently in Lin Moyu's hand. Flames immediately blazed inside the gazebo, and the temperature rose sharply. Yuju's pretty face changed drastically in fright, and she instinctively shrank back. Lin Moyu didn't seem to feel anything. The temperature of the flame was very high, but it was much worse than that of Blue Flame Star. However, there are laws in the flame, and the damage is stronger than that of the Blue Flame Star. After all, it's just a material, and this thread of law can't hurt Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu held the crystal in front of him, looked around, and felt the power in it, which belonged to the power of a god, and he was very satisfied. That's right, 4,000 square feet is worth it. Yuju's eyes widened, and Lin Moyu's operation refreshed her cognition again. Even if it is a god king, he can't crystallize with the law of the galaxy so recklessly. The high temperature inside is no joke. Unless it is the kind of god king who is good at the law of fire, he will be so unscrupulous, but Lin Moyu is obviously not. But Yuju thought of Lin Moyu's various miracles, but she felt familiar. I sipped my iced tea to cool myself down. Lin Moyu admired the Galaxy Flame Crystal for a while, then put it back into the jade box and closed the lid. Yuju pointed to the second jade box next to it. Master Captain, please take a look for yourself. She held the iced tea and drank it one sip at a time. Lin Moyu didn't mind either, and half-jokingly said, your service is not very good, I will complain to you later. But Yuju seemed to have opened his eyes and widened his eyes. Master Captain, you can actually make a joke. 997. Lin Moyu laughed and did not respond. He is in a good mood now, so he will make a joke. Reaching out to open the second box, the box just opened, and a starlight shot out from it. The starlight exploded in the gazebo, interweaving a starry sky. Lin Moyu felt the strong law of starlight from it. The law of starlight is one of the most prevalent laws in the big world, with the largest number of practitioners. Many variants have also evolved from the law of starlight. Some people manipulate the law of starlight and turn it into weapons like swords and shields. There are also people who have turned the law of starlight into a means of defense. Some people even use the law of starlight to set up formations. This is a second-tier panacea rule. From the intertwined starlight above his head, Lin Moyu felt the smell of formation. He judged that this material should be related to a god who is good at formations. Inside the jade box is a round bead. The surface of the bead is full of lines, like runes and formations. There are thousands of stars dotted inside, flickering and shining. It seems to be messy, but it seems to follow some kind of rules. Yuju said, "This is a law bead made by the condensed gods." Xingluo god Venerable used the law of starlight to arrange a large formation, and the condensed starlight lasted for 100 years before condensing a few pearls of the law of starlight. I've been looking for this one for a long time. Having said this, Yuju suddenly stopped speaking and stopped talking. Lin Moyu can probably guess something from it. How much is the price? He thought that the starlight law bead in front of him was a little more expensive than the galaxy flame crystal just now. After all, it took the gods 100 years to make it. Yuju took a sip of tea and reported a number, 60 million points. Lin Moyu nodded, yes. He can still accept this price. He scored points quickly, so he didn't pay much attention to points. Anyway, if you run out of points, you can earn them again, and it will not affect the promotion of privileges. It is important to be able to use points to buy what you need. Points that can be spent are called points, otherwise it is just a number. Yuju asked strangely, aren't you going to counter the price? Lin Moyu shook his head, you should pay it for me. Yuju's pretty face was slightly red, and she looked straight at Lin Moyu with her beautiful eyes. Captain, I just realized that your mouth is so sweet. Just tell the truth. In the second sentence, Lin Moyu showed his straight male personality. He raised his head and felt the starlight law bead, which was actually from the hand of the master of the gods, and the law bead faintly contained the atmosphere of the formation. I don't know what it will be like to become an elemental lich. Putting away the starlight bead, Lin Moyu looked at the third box. According to the order in which Yuju was placed, the materials in the third box should be better and more expensive than the previous ones. Lin Moyu opened the third box, and the white light illuminated the whole. Even the formations in the gazebo couldn't block the light, and a lot of it came through. This is pure light, light without any impurities. It was like a sharp arrow flying out, rampaging in the gazebo at an astonishing speed. Yuju giggled, Captain, you have to find a way to catch it. Lin Moyu has already seen the real body of this material, which is a pure white light, about as long as the little finger, only a little thicker than the hair. It was full of light, and shot out the moment the jade box was opened. It was just blocked by the formation, so it couldn't leave the gazebo, so it could only run rampant in the gazebo. It travels at the speed of light because it is itself light. The extreme high speed creates the illusion that the entire gazebo is shrouded in strong light. Lin Moyu heard Yuju's voice and knew that this girl knew about it early in the morning, so she wanted to wait for herself to make a fool of herself. Although the space is not large, the speed of light is too fast, and it is really not easy for ordinary people to grasp. But for Lin Moyu, there is nothing serious. If it is in the outside world, if a ray of light wants to escape, Lin Moyu really has nothing to do with it. Available in this small area. The red light fell, and the entire gazebo, except for the small area where Yuju was located, was enveloped in red light. Ellipsis. Curse of time. The curse of time is not only aimed at the soul, almost everything in the world is within the scope of its curse. The fusion of the three techniques into one technique hides the power of the law of time and instantly slows down everything around. It doesn't need to be too slow, as long as it can be doubled, it is enough for Lin Moyu to see it and catch it. The light was also cursed, and a red light appeared on the white light. The red orn is like blood, shrouded above it, no matter where it goes, the red orn will exist. While being cursed, its speed slowed down. Lin Moyu had been prepared for a long time, stretched out 2 fingers, and pinched it firmly like pinching a strand of hair. In the next second, the curse disappeared, and the light struggled frantically at Lin Moyu's fingertips. But no matter how hard it struggles, it doesn't help. Clap clap. Yuju clapped her hands. Captain is really good, he can catch all of these. Lin Moyu said, what will you do if I can't catch it? Yuju giggled, actually, as long as you activate the formation on the jade box, this beam of light will come back obediently. It is precisely because of this restriction that Yuju is not in a hurry. She originally wanted to tell Lin Moyu when Lin Moyu couldn't catch him. Unexpectedly, Lin Moyu could even catch the light. How many points? The material containing the law of the speed of light is also a god-level material, and the price is estimated to be very high. Yuju giggled, 80 million. The main reason is that the materials for the law of speed of light are too scarce, and rare things are more expensive, you understand the captain. Lin 3.6 Moyu didn't say much, he put the beam of light back into the jade box, and the formation in the jade box was activated, restraining it. And one last box. Before Lin Moyu could open it, Polygonatum's delicate hands had already pressed on the box. Yuju's beautiful face seemed to be a bit tangled. Captain, I have something to say first. Lin Moyu hummed, let's talk. The material of this item is a bit special. Once the jade box is opened, you cannot return it. I can tell you first that the price of the material is 100 million points. If your points are not enough, our Yu family cannot charge you a cent. Lin Moyu looked at Yuju. How could there be such a good thing in the world? Since he didn't have enough points, the Yu family could give him materials worth 100 million points instead of taking any money. He knew there must be something else to say. Yuju's eyes were tangled. Actually, the elders in the family, I hope you can accept a favor from you, Captain. Accepting a favor, to put it nicely, actually means that I owe their Yu family a favor. Lin Moyu's current strength is indeed mediocre. For a big family like the Yu family, there must be gods in the family. There will even be existences that surpass gods. But in the future, no one can say how far I can grow. It is possible to fall halfway, or it is possible to grow all the way to reach the god, or even surpass the god. What the Yu family did was actually an investment. If Lin Moyu really grows up, if something happens to Yu's family, his favor will be worth a lot. This is only a superficial point. Lin Moyu thinks more deeply. In a big family like the Yu family, there is a high possibility of internal competition. It is said that it is a favor owed to Yu's family, but what it really owes is the favor of Yuju's lineage. Lin Moyu's eyes changed slightly. He looked at Yuju, showing a smile that was not a smile. My favor is very expensive. Lin Moyu has confidence in himself, and the Yu family will not let him repay this favor easily. 100 million points may seem like a lot, but in the final analysis, it is just a god-level material. If he really wants it, he can ask Zhu Qiwu to ask for it, and it is not impossible to get it. And he doesn't like the Yu family's approach, but Yuju said it before opening the box, so he hasn't broken his principle yet. If Yuju said what 16 said after he opened the box, it is estimated that his relationship with the country will change in the future. Yuju pouted, with 3 points of naughty and 3 points of anger. I knew I couldn't hide it from the captain, and I also told the elders in the family that although this thing is good, I can't make such a condition. Either don't sell it, or give it away directly. What is this? Lin Moyu looked at Yuju's appearance, and said in a low voice, actually, the elders in your family did the right thing. If they are normal people, they will accept it. 100 million points is a huge sum of money for most practitioners. So most people will choose to accept it. But in the same way, the Yu family should not offer such a price to ordinary people. Exchange 100 million points for a favor that doesn't even have a promise. What if people turn their backs and refuse to admit it? So for the Yu family, it was also a gamble. Lin Moyu continued, perhaps your elders think that I will not refuse. You also said that it's a good thing. Even if I don't know what's in it, as long as I have your words, I shouldn't refuse. However, I feel that my favor is more expensive than 100 million points. Yuju sighed, okay, then I'll take the things back. He knows that Lin Moyu only has 200 million points. After buying the first 3 items, Lin Moyu's points are not enough. Lin Moyu shook his head, no, since it's a good thing, I still want it. Yuju's vision is not low. The 3 items before are all god-level materials, and she has never said anything similar. If you can make her say 3 words of good things, it will definitely not be bad. And the price of 100 million points also means that the quality of this thing must be very high. Such a thing, since it is already in front of your eyes, how can you let it go easily? Lin Moyu took the box from Yuju's hand. Yuju looked at him blankly, not knowing what he meant. Lin Moyu didn't hesitate and opened the box directly. Black light flew out of the box and enveloped Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu feels an inexplicable connection between himself and the materials in the box. The material in the box is a finger-thick, strip-shaped metal less than 10 centimeters, shining with golden light, and faintly shining with purple light. Purple light flows continuously on the metal surface, like fish in water, swimming happily. The whole piece of metal exudes an inexplicable spirituality, and it feels like a living thing. At this moment, he understood what it said, that once the box was opened, it could not be returned. Spiritual materials, indeed, cannot be returned. I quickly found information about spiritual materials in my mind. Spiritual material is the name of a material, not a specific material. Rather, it refers to the birth of spirituality in this material, just like the birth of a weapon spirit in a magic weapon, which will greatly increase its value. Using spiritual materials to refine the magic weapon can almost make the magic weapon 100% birth of the spirit. Once you have a weapon spirit, the power of the magic weapon will be greatly increased. It's like the long sword in Yu Qingru's hand. It is obviously a magic weapon of the lower level of the God King, but it can exert the power of the upper magic weapon of the God King. Its value is higher than Lin Moyu's Zhanenjian and the Tower of the King of War. If it is God-level spiritual material, and then refining out God-level magic weapons with spirits, the value is incalculable. So, it is really a good thing. 100 million points is not expensive. However, the spiritual material also has a shortcoming. Because he has spirituality, he will take the initiative to recognize the Lord. Moreover, the process of recognizing the Master is very simple and rough. The first person who touches it, even those who are close to it, will recognize the Master directly. The material in front of him is like this. When Lin Moyu opened the box, its breath fell on Lin Moyu, and Lin Moyu has been recognized as the Master. From then on, only Lin Moyu can use it. Even if it is to be refined into a magic weapon, it must be done by Lin Moyu himself. If it is handed over to others, it will lose all spirituality, and it is no different from ordinary God-level materials. Lin Moyu whispered, "You can even get spiritual materials. Your Yu family is really amazing." The scarcity of spiritual materials is known to everyone in the entire world. God-level spiritual materials are already extremely rare, and God-level materials are even more rare. Unexpectedly, the country actually got it. Yuju explained, "Our Yu family is one of the few families in the big world that can produce spiritual materials. It's just that the production of spiritual materials is scarce, especially the God-level ones, which are even more pitiful." Lin Moyu knew that Yuju was right, and the God-level spiritual materials were naturally pitifully scarce. And because of the particularity of spiritual materials, they rarely appear in the outside world, and basically whoever obtains them belongs to them. Lin Moyu was a little surprised that the Yu family could produce spiritual materials. This alone is enough to make the Yu family the 847th largest family in the human race. At this time, Yuju looked distressed. "Captain, you don't want to accept Yu's family's favor and open the box again, so what should you do?" "I don't have so many points, I'll give you the calendar." Lin Moyu held the spiritual materials in his hands, feeling a close connection with each other, and said, "I have enough points." "Ah." Yuju stared wide-eyed, unable to believe it. Every transaction of Lin Moyu is personally presided over by her, and she knows exactly how many points Lin Moyu has in total. Unless Lin Moyu has a lot of points before that. Lin Moyu said, "A few days ago someone came to challenge me, made a few bets with me, and then lost some points to me." Yuju knew about this matter. It's just that she didn't know the specific bet, so she couldn't help asking, "How much did the captain win?" Lin Moyu smiled slightly, "Not much, just 80 million. Yuju was speechless for a moment. Cherry murmured, "It's only 80 million. 80 million points is a huge amount of money for most practitioners. Unless it is a god, the group will not pay attention to 80 million. Quickly calculated in his mind, the price of the material is 40 million, 60 million, 80 million, 100 million. A total of 280 million points. Lin Moyu should have more than 280 million points. There was joy in her beautiful eyes. So, the captain's points are enough. Points are naturally enough, and Lin Moyu still has more than 190 million points. counting the 100 million deposit paid in advance. Lin Moyu's total points exceeded 290 million. 4 pieces of materials, with a total value of 280 million, and there are still 10 million points left after payment. Yuju seemed very happy. Lin Moyu chuckled. I can't owe your Yu family any favors, why are you so happy instead? Yuju snorted. They are them, I am me, and I don't like to count back and forth like this. What's more, if I'm really in trouble, will the captain stand by and watch? You know, I'm your team member, your subordinate. As the captain, how can you ignore the life and death of your team members? Yuju said it with confidence, and this reason was irresistible. Lin Moyu smiled. Some captains will let the players take the place of dead ghosts. Yuju still looked confident. I don't care what the other captains do, but my captain doesn't anyway. Lin Moyu smiled. Let's make a deal. The following process went smoothly. Lin Moyu paid the remaining 180 million points, and got 4 pieces of materials from Yaju. This kind of private demand transaction will not have any military merit rewards for the transaction amount generated. After the transaction was completed, Yuju refilled the tea for Lin Moyu. Captain, you have used up all your points, so you have to accept tasks again to earn money. Lin Moyu said, when you come to the battlefield, isn't it just to accept the mission and do the mission? These data points are just an accessory of the mission. Yuju curled her lips. Others don't think so. Many people come to the battlefield to earn points. After all, the points in the battlefield are much better than those in the star field. Everyone has his own ambition. Lin Moyu suddenly thought of his mission. Do you know where I can get information? Yuju raised her eyebrows slightly. What kind of information does the captain want? In addition to trading items, our trading center can also trade information. But some information is classified as military secrets, so that won't work. Lin Moyu said, I want to know, who is in the battlefield for the top 10 guys on the reward list, and which area is best to go to. Yuju immediately understood what Lin Moyu meant. Captain, are you going to hunt him down? Well, there is a task that needs to be completed. Lin Moyu didn't hide it. Yuju thought for a while. I don't think this kind of information is readily available, and I'm not in charge of it. I'll find someone to ask. If there is any news, I'll contact the captain as soon as possible. Lin Moyu nodded. Okay, waiting for your news. In Fortress Number 10, Zhu Qiwu was still sitting in the void. Thousands of years have passed since he came to Suzaku battlefield. For thousands of years, Zhu Qiwu's body has never left, and the number of times he has done it is very few. But some high-level military officers in the battlefield know that Dr. Jiongwu actually has a clone. His avatar is very special. It is not the same as the avatar produced by ordinary refining, but somewhat similar to the avatar of the demon clan. It is said that his avatar came from Shencheng, but if Zhu Qiwu didn't say it, no one would not ask. At this moment, Zhu Qiwu's avatar was in a small room in Fortress Number 10. There were more than a dozen people standing in the room. All of them were gods, elders from various fortresses, and even 2 legion commanders. On the table among them, there are hundreds of light clusters. Each light group is only the size of a fist, and each light group is a soul. The soul's eyes are dull, his expression is dull, and he has lost his wisdom. But the souls exude a breath that is not weak, and each soul has reached the 3rd rank level. They used to be god kings, but now their bodies have been destroyed, their souls have been wiped out of their minds, and they have ended up like this. Zhu Qiwu sat on the main seat. His voice was low. Everyone, is there a way? No one made a sound, and everyone's faces were ugly. Zhu Qiwu seemed to have guessed the answer a long time ago. In fact, since he got these souls, he knew that it was difficult to save them. But if you don't try it, you will always feel unwilling. Most of these god kings were once geniuses, very smart. Several of them are the heirs of the elders of the army, the disciples of the head of the legion, and they are also members of the military. The military also had high hopes for them, but unfortunately. Seeing that everyone had no choice, Zhu Qiwu patted the table lightly, so the light balls were put away by him. Let me think of a way. Everyone looked at Zhu Qiwu together, their eyes sparkled slightly. Then get rid of the Guardian. They all knew that Zhu Qiwu's identity was extraordinary and he had connections with those big shots. Maybe there really is a way. Just like Zhu Qiwu was able to bring back the souls of these god kings from the ancient tombs and replace them with him, it is impossible. They speculated that it was not Zhu Qiwu who did it, but some big shot. If Zhu Qiwu could do it, he would have done it long ago, and he would not wait until now. After everyone dispersed, only Qi Yuan and Bai Qian remained. Among the more than 100 souls just now, there are disciples of Qi Yuanjin and Bai Qishan's only son. Bai Qishan saluted Zhu Qiwu respectfully. Thank you, Lord Guardian. Zhu Qiwu waved his hand. I didn't do it, don't thank me. Qi Yuanjin asked, My lord, is there really another way? That big man. He didn't go on. As the head of the Legion, he already knew some information. That kind of big man can't be shot casually, and it seems that there are many restrictions. Zhu Qiwu said, You don't need to ask, the old man will find a way. If you can't be rescued, you don't have to be sad. Life and death are fate. People die every day in the big world, and you don't understand. Bai Qishan hummed, If it's really impossible to save her, it's fate. Qi Yuanjin sighed, and saluted Zhu Qiwu respectfully. Excuse me, my lord. Zhu Qiwu waved for them to leave. In the empty room, Chief Zhu Qi sighed, Human power will eventually come to an end. You can only do your best and obey the destiny. When the voice fell, Sheng Jiwu was no longer in the room. Lin Moyu came to the practice field again and rented a practice secret room. This time he's going to summon an elemental Lich. With 4 materials, 4 elemental demons can be summoned. Among them, he already had the flame elemental Lich, but because his combat power couldn't keep up, he rarely used it. As for the elemental liches of the water system and the lightning system, they have the same problem, and they are in an awkward position. Only the element lich of the speed of light system is still in use, and the aura of the law of speed of light can make Lin Moyu's speed reach 30,000 km per second, which is equivalent to 1/10 of the speed of light. But as Lin Moyu's strength continues to improve, soon this speed will not be enough. Once Lin Moyu reaches the God King realm, the speed of undead wings can exceed 30,000 km per second. At that time, the halo of the law of speed of light will also be officially eliminated. This is the limitation of elemental liches, they need to constantly have new materials for the growth. Without high-level materials, they are difficult to evolve and gradually become disconnected. Another reason is that Lin Moyu's own strength has improved too fast. If the improvement is slower, the elemental lich can still flex its muscles. Opening the first box, a ball of flames rushed out, and the temperature in the training chamber rose sharply. Among the raging flames, the fiery red galaxy flame crystallized crystal clear. A flame lich appeared beside Lin Moyu at the same time. The attributes of the flame lich naturally appeared in Lin Moyu's mind. Law of Fire Lich. Grade, Advanced. Growth cap, none. Fire Law Halo. The halo will cover all members of the undead army, each attack will be accompanied by the power of the Fire Law, and all enemies will be burned by the Fire Law. This is a lich summoned by using the Divine Flower of Law, possessing the combat power equivalent to the 7th to 8th rank of a true god. It's a pity that the enemies that Lin Moyu faced later were basically the existence of the peak of true gods, or even the existence of god kings. It's not even the icing on the cake, it's mostly used to scare the enemy, it's useless. But it also has advantages, that is, it is based on the law of the gods. The Law God Flower is a kind of magical material, it may not be of high level, but it has the possibility of infinite growth. Therefore, the flame lich summoned by it is also called the Law Lich. The grade is high enough to be high, and there is no growth limit. The Flame Law Lich quietly stayed beside Lin Moyu, waiting for Lin Moyu's order, but a pair of jewel-like flame eyes stared at the flame car in the box without blinking. Its instinct told it that this thing was useful to it. But without Lin Moyu's order, it will not take any action. Whether it's a skeleton or an elemental, Lin Moyu's orders always come first. Lin Moyu picked up the Galaxy Flame Crystal, go. The Fire Law Lich received Lin Moyu's order, and immediately reached out to take the Galaxy Flame Crystal. It opened its mouth to swallow the crystals, and the flames all over its body exploded instantly. The flames in the training chamber rose up and burned violently. This small space turned into a sea of flames. The formation in the secret room emits a strong light, firmly protecting the secret room so that it will not be destroyed by the flames. The secret room has special materials, which are extremely strong, and coupled with the protection of the formation, it is strong enough to withstand the impact of the power of the God King realm. Of course, if a high-level God King attacks with all his strength, it will still be enough to smash the secret room. The aura of the Law of Fire Lich continues to grow stronger, it absorbs the majestic energy in the flame crystal of the galaxy, and begins to transform and evolve. Lin Moyu was curious about how far the Lich of the Law of Fire, which had absorbed god-level materials, could grow. The Law God flower brings a high grade, and there is no upper limit for growth. The rest is just a matter of luck. There is a characteristic of God-level materials, that is, it contains a certain law, which has reached the degree of perfection. This is originally one of the differences between a God King and a God, and it is the same in terms of materials. The God has already controlled a certain law to a 100% level, completely integrated the law into himself, into the soul, and entered perfection. Under the wrapping of laws, the soul can wander in the galaxy of laws. BGBD. The God-level material also means that the laws contained in it have reached this level. Lin Moyu even wondered whether the elemental law Lich could reach the state of God in one fell swoop. If that's the case, then he can walk sideways. All the gods and kings are not their own enemies. If there are enemies, they can be set on fire. But he knew that this was just an imagination, basically impossible. The gap between God-King realm and God-exalted realm cannot be bridged easily. The breath of the Lich is still rising, and the flames are getting stronger and stronger. Through the firelight, one can see the intensity of the attack being continuously displayed on the wall. The third rank of God King. Fourth order. Fifth order. The array began to creak, and the whole secret room was trembling, as if it was about to be unbearable. Lin Moyu looked at the elemental Lich, knowing that his ascension was not over yet. If this continues, the cultivation secret room will definitely not be able to bear it. But at the critical moment when the Lich is ascending, it must not be disturbed. I still underestimated the God-level materials. Lin Moyu felt a little regretful. He shouldn't have come to the secret room for improvement. You should find an unmanned void, so you don't need to have this scruple. But it is too late to think about these. The key is how to deal with the immediate matter. In the next second, he left the secret room full of flames. The moment the door of the secret room was opened, flames shot out into the sky, instantly lighting up the practice field red. Groups of flames, like a volcanic eruption, returned to the sky. There were many people in the practice field, and they all showed surprise when they saw the flames soaring into the sky. They can feel the astonishing power from the flames, the power belonging to the God King realm. Lin Moyu rushed out of the training room, closed the door, flew directly to the sky above the training room, and shouted to the bottom, "Everyone get out of here." Hearing Lin Moyu's words, but not many people left, but they all looked at Lin Moyu curiously. It's Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu, who ranks first in both the combat power list and the potential list. What is he going to do and why does he want us to leave? I don't know, but I'm a little anxious to see his appearance. Lin Moyu was really anxious. The training chamber was roaring and would explode at any moment. At that time, at least the 7th level flames of the God King realm will sweep this area, and people here will either die or be injured. Lin Moyu really wanted to summon the skeletons and walk them away with a sword. And if the cultivation secret room explodes, how wide the scope will be affected, even Lin Moyu can't grasp it. Lin Moyu took a deep breath and continued to shout, "Leave quickly, there is danger here." Finally someone listened to Lin Moyu's words and quickly backed away for a distance, but it was only 1,000 meters. This distance is not safe. And there are more people who still stay in place and have not left. Lin Moyu's voice became low, "If you don't want to die, leave immediately." Instead, his words provoked rebuttals from others. I really think that being number 1 in the double rankings is a great thing. Is it your turn to call the shots here? Do you still want to kill us? I'm standing here, do you dare to do it? Is what he said true, or let's go first? Everyone reacts differently, but not many actually leave. An old man in military uniform appeared beside Lin Moyu, and a majestic voice sounded, "What happened?" When Lin Moyu saw him, joy flashed in his eyes. It was Murong Bafang, one of the elders of the number 1 fortress, and a strong man in the state of God. With him around, you should be fine. Lin Moyu immediately narrated what happened in the secret training room. Murong Bafang's face changed slightly, and he had already sensed the abnormality in the secret training room below. The strength has reached the 7th level of the King of Gods, and the formation in the secret room can't bear it, and it will explode at any time. He shouted to the crowd outside, "Everyone back away, quit Wanmi." No one dared not listen to the words of the elders. They were much more effective than Lin Moyu, and they retreated one after another. Then Murong Bafang's fierce gaze swept across the other secret rooms for cultivation. Other secret rooms will also be affected, at least hundreds of secret rooms will be blown up. There are thousands of secret training rooms here, arranged neatly like an army formation. Lin Moyu's cultivation secret room is located in the middle. The formation of the cultivation secret room is internal and not external. Destroying the cultivation secret room from the outside is much simpler and easier than destroying it from the inside. At this time, there are people in most of the practice secret rooms who are practicing in retreat. If they are hit without defense, they will be seriously injured or die. Lin Moyu looked at Murong Bafang and thought, then you should find a way. Murong Bafang was really thinking of a way, his face was serious and not pretty. At this time, the training chamber began to roar, and Lin Moyu felt that his elemental lich had reached the 8th level of the God King. The cultivation secret room has been completely unbearable, and it will explode at any time. Murong Bafang said in a deep voice, I'll first use the law to cover the secret room and suppress the 10,000 stars inside. Lin Moyu felt that Murong Bafang's actions were inappropriate, and Murong Bafang used the power of the gods to suppress the elemental lich. Naturally, it would not be a problem. However, if the power is suppressed, it will also affect the growth of the elemental lich. It is very likely that the elemental lich will not be able to grow to the best state. Lin Moyu instinctively didn't want this, but after thinking about it, there was no other way. At this time, the element lich is in a special state, unable to move or leave. In general, it was my choice that made a mistake. Underestimated the material of the gods, but also overestimated the practice of the secret room. Here it is claimed that it can block the attack of the God King realm, but there is no explanation. It can only be blocked for a while, and cannot be blocked all the time. Now he has no reason to stop Murong Bafang. Just when Murong Bafang was about to make a move, a majestic and low voice suddenly sounded in his ear, leave it to the old man. Murong Bafang heard the sound and looked around, and saw Zhu Qiwu who appeared suddenly. Master Guardian. Murong Bafang was startled and immediately saluted respectfully. Zhu Qiwu waved his hand and looked at Lin Moyu, the boy is very good. Lin Moyu smiled slightly, not as good as you. Zhu Qiwu snorted and pressed his palm down lightly. The majestic laws came from all directions, turned into huge walls of laws, and blocked the cultivation secret room. The wall of law is like a substance, instantly enveloping the cultivation secret room. Lin Moyu saw a formation appeared in the void, and the entire practice field was enveloped by this formation. Zhu Qiwu's law, like an unparalleled sharp blade, pierced through the formation and was directly nailed inside. It looks simple, but it's not that simple. The array connects the training chambers into a whole, and Tongli has a strong defense. Just now Zhu Qiwu's law directly broke through the defense of the formation. Murong Bafang can actually achieve a similar effect, but his strength is not as strong as Zhu Qiwu, and he will be blocked by the formation, which may need to be destroyed. And Zhu Qiwu can ignore the formation and directly penetrate the protection of the formation. This is the difference between the two, the essential difference. Zhu Qiwu glanced at Murong Bafang, let's go. Murong Bafang understood and immediately resigned and left. Lin Moyu thanked Zhu Qi, thank you, senior. Zhu Qiwu snorted softly, be careful in the future. This junior understands. Lin Moyu did not refute, this time it was indeed his fault. Once the training chamber explodes, casualties will be inevitable. Now that Zhu Qiwu's law is shrouded, there will never be any. Sensing the increasingly violent power of the elemental lich, Lin Moyu asked at the same time, did the senior come here specially to find the junior? Zhu Qiwu glanced at Lin Moyu, be confident. Lin Moyu smiled slightly, but did not answer. He knew that if Zhu Qiwu was fine, he would usually not wander around, let alone come to Fort 1. Now that he has come, in all likelihood, he is here to find himself. Zhu Qiwu looked at the secret training room that was about to explode. How can such a smart person make such a mistake? Lin Moyu said with a smile, the god-level materials are too powerful, and this junior didn't even think about it. This junior can compensate for how many points a practice secret room costs. Zhu Qiwu chuckled, aren't you afraid that the starry sky monster will open its mouth? Lin Moyu shook his head, senior's character is worthy of trust. Zhu Qiwu said, I will help the old man with something in a while, so forget about the loss here. After all the steps were given, Lin Moyu slid down very smoothly, thank you, senior. Boom. The training chamber finally couldn't take it anymore and exploded. The secret room became a gunpowder barrel, and the flames compressed inside soared into the sky at this moment. The law only enveloped the surroundings, not the sky. Under the shroud of Zhu Qiwu's law, the flames have nowhere to go but spray into the sky. Flames soared into the sky from the gap and spread for hundreds of kilometers, forming a huge pillar of fire that lingered for a long time. Zhu Qiwu joked, not bad, it has almost reached the peak of the God King realm. Lin Moyu was also very satisfied with this power in his heart, but in front of Zhu Qiwu he maintained due humility. It's far worse than you. Zhu Qiwu said, I remember you used this technique before, but it didn't seem very powerful at that time. Lin Moyu was in the Xinghua area, and Zhu Qiwu followed behind him, and Zhu Qiwu saw many spells in his eyes. Elemental liches aren't very useful, but they are used. Especially the Law of Light Lich, which is the most commonly used lich by Lin Moyu, and Zhu Qiwu is no stranger to it. Lin Moyu said, this is a technique of the juniors, which can use elemental materials to summon corresponding liches. This time, this junior used a crystal of the Law of the Galaxy to summon the lich of the Law of Fire. He didn't elaborate, and he also knew that Zhu Qiwu wouldn't ask questions. Sure enough, Zhu Qiwu didn't ask, but said calmly, it seems that you should be invincible in the God King realm. Lin Moyu shook his head, it's hard to say, I know that some powerhouses at the peak of the God King realm can challenge the gods across borders. I will lose most of them against such powerhouses. Ask for flowers. Zhu Qiwu snorted lightly, with a slight smile, hey, I'm pretty self-aware. In fact, between the peak of the God King realm and the God Venerable realm, there is a small realm that is not obvious. Lin Moyu had never heard of it, so he immediately said, please enlighten me, senior. Zhu Qiwu didn't hide it, that realm is called the Little God Venerable realm, which is actually stronger than the God King, but weaker than the real God Venerable. A true deity, with perfect laws and laws enveloping the soul, can enter the galaxy of laws at any time and mobilize the power of the galaxy of laws. Little God Venerable, the law is also perfect, but the law has not completely wrapped the fruit soul, and cannot enter the law galaxy, and cannot mobilize the power of the law galaxy. Other than that, there is no difference between the two. But the little god is still much stronger than the God King. No matter how strong your combat power is, as long as you don't reach that level, you will still be worse. Lin Moyu heard the meaning, but Zhu Qiwu had already said it very euphemistically. The little deity is not a realm on the surface, but an unwritten realm divided by the practitioner himself. A cultivator who can become a small god can actually become a god. They have already completed the road to becoming a god, and they have reached the gate of the god. As long as the time is up, the door of the god will open naturally, and they only need to walk in when the time comes. That's right, all that is needed for a small deity to become a real deity is time. Therefore, although people in this realm are not real gods, they are stronger than any gods. But Lin Moyu has his own ideas. If his undead army can reach the 9th rank of the God King, it may be enough to push down any little gods. Although there is a gap in the level of strength between the two, it is not to the point where the numbers can be ignored. The flames gradually extinguished, and the Lich of the Law of Fire came into view. The Law of Fire Lich looks like a ball of flames, flat flames. It doesn't have a real body, its whole body is made up of the Law of Fire, and its shape can be big or small. It can shrink into a fist when it is small, and it can be infinite when it is big. As long as it has enough power, it will be fine even if it covers the entire galaxy. It exudes a huge aura, the aura of the 9th level of the God King realm. Because it uses God-level materials, its fire law has been completed. It was only because of some other reasons that he failed to step into the godly realm. Lin Moyu didn't immediately check the attributes of the Law of Fire Lich, but put it away, and said to Zhu Qiwu, Senior, please give me your orders.